Good morning, Dan Corcoran here. I'm going to be narrating some photos of the Bellflower family, but I'm going to start off with the only one I have, as far as I know, of my or my sister's great grandparents. This is our great grandmother, Margaret Ronan Corcoran. She was born on June 22nd, 1841, in Waterford, Ireland. Married October 22nd, 1868, in New York State, and died December 11th, 1934, at 93 years old. In the rear on the left is our grandfather, whom I don't know that either of us have ever met. His name is Edward Joseph Corcoran Sr. Around him are who I assume to be our great uncles and aunt. Our grandfather, Edward J. Sr., was born May 16th, 1877, in Monroe County, New York. Married October 26, 1905, in Auburn, and then died on August 31st, 1955, at 78 years old, also in Auburn, New York. The next photo is of a permit for our our great grandfather, J.R. Belflower, who was born in Terrell County, Georgia. It's right after the Civil War, and I guess you had to have permission from the Yankees to carry a gun then. So this is a permit for him to own a double-barrel shotgun. The interesting thing is that it says that the purpose of having the shotgun is for shooting, which is, I guess, not very informative. And when I said that our grandfather's name was J.R. Belflower, I have two different versions of that. One says it's James Robert Belflower, and the other says it's Joseph Robertson Belflower. Which is correct, I don't know. This next photo is of our grandfather, Charles Moore Belflower. He's in the center of the back row, with his 8 siblings, with 2 exceptions. The man on the far left of the back row is J.T. Belflower Jr. His father, J.T. Sr., couldn't attend. And in the left of the front row is someone that's labeled as Cousin Milton. I don't know whose cousin that was, but that's Cousin Milton. One interesting thing about the photo of Cousin Milton is that he's got a medal on, and I did a close-up of that and looked it up on Google, and it says that is the Southern Cross of Honor, which was evidently awarded to Civil War veterans, and it was awarded by the United Daughters of the Confederacy, which is kind of coincidental because Tony and I now live about 3 blocks from the headquarters of the United Daughters of the Confederacy. Next up is the back of this picture that has the names of the people on there. Note that it says something about 1928. Actually, that didn't make sense, so I checked ChatGPT, and it said according to the clothing styles, the hair, and the fact that it was taken in Georgia, its best guess is that it was taken in 1908 or thereabouts. This next photo is that same location. It's labeled as being on Brighton Road in Tifton. And the thing that amuses me is on the far right, there's a dog trying to climb over the fence there. I found that kind of amusing. The next photo, I really don't know who these people are. I have a feeling the woman on the right is our grandmother, Nevada Lillian Anderson Belflower, born in Grady County, Georgia. But I don't know who the guy is, and I'm not sure that's who the woman is. I'm just guessing because it looks so much like my mother. This photo is a real mystery. It's a photograph of some guy named J.W. Miller. And as you'll see in a minute on the back, it says, "Compliments of J.W. Miller to Miss Nevada Anderson, Cairo, Georgia, September 5th, 1900. What's odd about that is that maybe this was some guy that was courting her, but she was married on September 23rd of 1900. So just what, less than 2 weeks after he dated this and sent this to her, she married Charles Miller Bellflower, our grandfather. This is a photograph of our mother, Marge Corcoran, Marjorie Lee Bellflower Corcoran, and on the left is Edison, the youngest of the Bellflower children. The next photo is, as far as I know, the youngest photo I've ever seen of Kate. I don't know who took it or when, but looks like she's somewhere between, 8 and 10 years old, maybe 12. This is Kate's freshman yearbook picture at Georgia State Women's College in Valdosta. I think she only went there 1 year, and then it was the Depression. I think she had to go back to Tifton and attend ABAC in Tifton. ABAC, Abraham Baldwin Agricultural College. This is I guess, the portrait from which that yearbook picture was taken. Another portrait of Kate. I don't know when or where this was taken. I just have never seen it before. This is kind of amusing. Somebody had a good sense of humor. This is our Uncle Coburn, one of the siblings, Bellflower siblings. Side door Pullman as a boxcar is going by behind him. This is Kate in the back left and my mother, Marge, Mom, in the front right. They both look very unhappy. I'm guessing that this might have been taken in nursing school in New Jersey, but I don't know that for a fact. Here we have their dog. His name was Dammit, and I'm not quite sure what that is on the stool. It looks like dog toys, so I really don't know what this picture's all about. Another strange photo. Here's Dammit on the front steps of the house in Tifton, and Dammit on the front steps of the house in Tifton with a cat, and Dammit on the back steps of the house and kitchen in Tifton, going up onto the back porch. These are some pictures of Edison, the youngest of the Bellflower siblings. He died when he was, 1 week shy of his 21st birthday. You may want to pause this and read his obituary there. He had started working at the Armour meatpacking plant in Tifton, and apparently during his first week or two of work there, he nicked himself, I guess, cut himself with a knife or something, and anyway ended up getting blood poisoning and died. I think he was in the hospital 6 or 7 weeks. This is a letter that was written to him from a woman named Hazel Register in Jacksonville, Florida. She wrote it to Edison in the hospital in Thomasville, Georgia. And then you can see it was forwarded. The back of the envelope, you can see where she asked to have it forwarded if he wasn't still in the hospital in Thomasville. And when you read the letter, you'll probably want to pause it to be able to read it. But it's really pretty sad when you check out the date on the letter and then knowing when he died. A picture of my grandmother and grandfather in front of their house in Tifton, where the kids all grew up. This was taken in 1943, and this is a picture of them that same day with my mother, right in the middle of World War II. This was taken also in 1943, June. This was taken right next to what they call the old kitchen out behind the main house. Aunt Junior in the background there, and Granddaddy Belflower. They had a they raised hogs, and I can remember every now and then there'd be one killed, but they stopped that before I got to be too old. Now we're getting into Kate during World War II. This is Kate with her friend Edith West. Apparently, they enlisted in the Army Nurse Corps together and ended up being shipped overseas together. Here they are before they shipped out. They're in New York City walking around. There are several pictures they took, Rockefeller Center and various places. Then, after spending some time in New York City sightseeing, they boarded a troop ship, the SS Prometheus, and shipped out for the French island of New Caledonia in the South Pacific. You can tell it was pretty primitive. They lived in this is the nursing quarters. They lived in a thatched roof, and I guess they used local materials. She and Edith were there together. Only they were in tents some of the time. Pretty amazing stuff. I thought this picture was particularly interesting. You can see Kate and Edith circle there at the back. On the table, there is a program that says Officers Club. And what I found so interesting is that when I was going through Kate's papers, there is actually that program is in her papers. And this was the opening night of the Officers Club in New Caledonia on August 28th of 1943. Here, Kate is dancing with a Marine Corps officer named James Whedon. I'm not sure when it was taken. I assume it was at the Officers Club. Can't have been in too many places to dance in New Caledonia. He gave her a signed picture, and then he sent this note to her parents at Christmas, which I think I would have felt kind of weird if I'd gotten this note as her parents, a young single daughter in New Caledonia, saying, "Just an old Marine that your daughter has made very happy out here in the South Pacific." This is one of the funniest things I found in Kate's papers, and that's a letter she wrote also at Christmas in 1943 to her brother Coburn and his wife Lillemay. And she's saying, "Please don't send any more fruitcake. Everybody keeps sending me fruitcake. How about some olives? I love olives, and I can't get olives out here." I hope you'll pause on the computer and enlarge this so you can read the letter. It really is funny. This is my cousin Bob Belflower and I in Chicago in September of 1946. So I was 1 year old. This is Caroline and me and Grandma and my mother at the Brookfield Zoo in Chicago in June of 1947. This next picture is also taken at the Brookfield Zoo in June of 1947. This is Caroline and I in Tifton, March 1948. And the next one is me and Charles and Caroline at the piano, and I guess this was at their house in October of 1948. This is my grandmother in Tifton with Grandma Burke, who was Aunt Junior's mother. And this is Granddaddy Burke asleep in Tifton. He was Aunt Junior's father. These next several pictures were taken in Tifton in 1950, and this was Grandma and Granddaddy Bellflower's 50th wedding anniversary, their golden anniversary. The next picture is taken on the front steps of the house, and it just shows Grandma and Granddaddy with their 4 surviving children, Coburn and Jimmy and Kate and Mom. And then the next one shows all the spouses and grandchildren. That's Aunt Junia and Jimmy in the back. On the left is Bob, and then Coburn and Lillemay, then Kate, and then Charles is there on the right. And let's see, it's Caroline behind him. And then there's me down front and Grandma Bellflower, Granddaddy Bellflower, Betty in front, and our mother and father, Marge and Ed Corcoran. In the early 1950s, Kate was still in the Army Nurse Corps. By this time, she was a second lieutenant. She eventually became Captain Eva Kate Belflower. When the Korean War broke out, she was sent to Japan to work in an army hospital there, taking care of wounded soldiers. For a long time, I thought this was taken in New Caledonia, but I realized that this is so much more modern than the thatched roofs in New Caledonia that this must have been taken in Japan when she was stationed there. In the early 1950s, Japan was still recovering from World War II. I don't guess there was a lot to buy. Obviously, sandals were one obvious thing they had a lot of in Japan. And she also did some sightseeing while she was there. This is Kate at the Jiko Kudani Hot Springs. And I got the name of that by clipping out that sign and putting it in Google, and it translated it into Jigo Kudani Hot Spring. These next several photos are some odds and ends. This is some clippings about the Belflower family. On the right, my cousin Charles and his wife Barbara, that's their obituaries. Mrs. White down below, that was Lilla Mae's mother, and that gives some information on her family and maiden name and whatnot. And these are what I call death cards. I don't know what the right name is. They both are widows or wives of the siblings, the 9 siblings, Uncle Willie at the top and Uncle Sim at the bottom. This was Uncle Sim's first wife. Supposedly his second wife was much younger than he was, kind of scandalous. And isn't it interesting that these are not these women are known only by their husbands' names, not by their names. I guess they weren't that important, huh? This next is Kate's obituary. You may want to pause your computer and just read this if you're interested. The next one, there are 2 pictures. The one on top is cousin Arnold Belflower. Mom used to talk about him. And the one down below, I think, is Grandma Bellflower's sister. The next one coming up shows the back of both of those photographs, and you can read why I think that that's Arnold and Grandma's sister. Grandma's maiden name, of course, was Anderson, Nevada Anderson, and so this is Claudia Jane Anderson. This picture, I really don't know why it was in Kate's stuff. The Vance is labeled on the back, the Vanceville School, V-A-N-C-E, Vanceville School in Tift County. But when I looked at the map, the Vanceville School was on the other side of Tifton. It was southeast of Tifton, so there's no reason that any of the Bellflowers would have gone to school there. I just thought the picture was kind of nifty. It's obviously pretty old, and I've always liked women who wore fruit bowls on their head. These last 3 pictures I just labeled weird photos. I used ChatGPT to check out this, and it estimated that the photograph was taken about 1893 based on the clothing and the hairstyles. The cat is kind of cool. This one, again, I have no idea why anybody would have taken this picture. I guess this was their kids. But pictures back in those days, not everybody had cameras, and they were pretty expensive. So you have to wonder why they thought these were worth keeping. I have no idea what's in this dog's mouth. Must be something yummy, but I guess the horse left the buggy. I don't know. Just the kid and the dog sitting there in the buggy. Well, I guess that's about it. This is just a selection of photos that I had an idea Betty and Olivia may not have seen, and I just thought you might be interested in seeing them. I guess once you put something out on the internet, it's there forever, right?